up. This week we come to you from Bungalow 9 here in Mumbai. On the show today, an exclusive chat with one of the hottest e-commerce startups, Flipkart.com. That and a lot more coming your way over the next half hour. On the show today, an exclusive interview with Sachin Bansal, co-founder of Flipkart.com, the story so far and their future plans. On Showcase, we feature N-Natura, a startup that's looking to disrupt the ink industry. And finally, on Bootstrap, we decipher the various hosting options you have for that web product of yours. They have projected revenues of close to $100 million this year, and rumor has it that they're valued at close to $1 billion. Without a doubt, they're one of the hottest startup stories in the country right now. Well, so these y'all caught up with Sachin Bansal, co-founder of Flipkart.com, for this exclusive chat.
The hottest e-commerce company right now in India. It's the hottest startup story. I'm very happy to have with us Sachin Bansal, the co-founder of Flipkart. Sachin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Sachin, take us back to your early days, IIT Delhi to Amazon, and then you and Vinny got together and Flipkart happened. How did you guys meet? And where did the early beginnings of Flipkart really come from?
I was working for Amazon when Vinny joined Amazon in 2009. 2007. And at that time we started thinking about doing something on our own. We were passionate about the consumer space at that time. We started about doing something in the comparison shopping space. Not a pure e-commerce company, but a company where you can come and compare prices of different e-commerce other e-commerce companies and buy a product. When we started doing research on that idea, we found that there were not a lot of e-commerce companies in India.
You guys creating a vertical search for e-commerce companies,
exactly.
And then you realized?
Then we realized that there was no companies to compare for, right? So
you said that you might should create e-commerce.
Exactly. So then we said, okay, let's just go out and build our own.
So the initial amount invested in Flipkart was about 4 lakhs, right?
Yes.
What were the early days like? Bootstrapping, what memories do you have of that process?
Those were awesome actually. Every single day, every book that we sold at that time taught us a lot of things. Every supplier we met at that time, there were new things that were opening up which we never knew were out there. And when we were talking to people, when we were talking to customers, doing customer support, so in the early days my own number used to be, my personal number used to be on the website for customer support, and I used to talk to customers any time of the day or night. Those were big learnings. I think we learned a lot at that time.
Ask any e-commerce player and he'll tell you that the value of e-commerce lies not in the front end but getting the back end right.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And there are two ways to handle the back end when it comes to e-commerce. Right? One way is to do it by hiring warehouses and renting out massive warehouses to keep your material, and the other way is to do it in a consignment fashion. Right? And it's a bit of a chicken and egg. Obviously, bigger the warehouse, the better customer service you can provide.
Right.
But to get a warehouse, you need money. Right? So how do you deal with that situation?
So we started with completely on consignment model.
Sure.
We started with procuring on demand. When the orders were placed on the website, we used to go and procure from the suppliers. Today we do about 80% of our deliveries from our warehouses.
How much easier is it to provide customer service or great customer service using a warehouse model as opposed to consignment?
Okay, warehouse makes it much easier. The number of customer issues that happen, the number of delays that happen are much lesser when we are doing our own warehouses compared to customer. And then going forward, we want to go to 100% warehousing.
So I think you started only with books, right? And then you moved to other products. This whole vertical integration and vertical expansion, take us through how it really happened.
Yeah, so we sold books only for 2 years.
Okay.
And post that we started looking at other categories of products.
Sure.
From the very beginning, we were actually very focused on launching more and more products, and we wanted to sell everything out there,
right,
not just books.
Why books initially?
Books was much easier to start with. I mean, for a startup company, for a small company, books actually is a very good category to start with because logistically it's easier, margins wise it's much better.
20% margins on books?
Yeah, 20% margins on books, which is much better than the other categories.
So take us through that whole first fundraising process, because number of investors still claim Flipkart to be the biggest mistake. And they saw Flipkart, they declined Flipkart, they passed over it. A lot of investors I may say that it was probably the biggest mistake that they're investing in India over the last 3-4 years. Take us through that fundraising process and how the first deal finally happened.
Yeah, so started talking to investors in this was end of 2008. What we found was that e-commerce was not hot.
Okay.
Today it's a very hot sector. At that time it was like, don't talk to me about e-commerce.
Right.
Nobody wanted. People had seen e-commerce companies. People had invested in e-commerce companies before, but not seen good traction. So they were apprehensive about it. Majority of the VCs actually could not understand the model itself very well. I'll say. But actual partners actually came along and they actually understood the model beautifully well.
Right.
They spent the required effort and the energy required to understand the space,
right.
And then they made the decision at that time.
There have been other players in this e-commerce space selling books for almost 8 years before Flipkart even came, right? And today Flipkart, your last year revenues announced for about 80 crore and now you're moving to much higher figures. What do you think has contributed to much higher growth as compared to some of the older incumbent players? Focus on 1, 2 or 3 things. What would they be?
I think our single-minded focus on customer experience has been the key here.
Okay, so when it comes to delivery time or
procurement, I mean, we're not satisfied with our experience ever.
And you can't stress on that enough.
Yes. Okay. I think we were always dissatisfied. We were trying to improve more and more on what.
Is that the best marketing medium?
I think so. It is the most absolute best marketing medium.
You spoke about media, and Flipkart also recently launched its TV advertising campaign, right? And very unusual, quirky ads, right? Take us through what the conceptualization of those ads were and why you picked that genre.
Yeah, so this was about 6 months ago when we started doing our market research on what kind of messaging makes sense for our customers. What we found was that most customers that we wanted were already aware of online shopping. There was no awareness problem in them. They already knew that prices are cheaper online, so there was no price problem as well. And then we said, why are they not shopping? Right? So the biggest reasons that we found at that time was that they did not trust the medium enough. There was an inherent mistrust in the medium. So when I asked a potential customer that there is a 500 rupees book in the market which I will give you for 400 rupees, will you come and buy from me?
Right.
The answer to that a lot of times was no. And the reason was that I don't know, but
we don't believe it's a real book.
We don't believe it's a real book. We don't believe it will come on time or will it come at all.
Right.
So there was because of previous experiences with e-commerce companies in India, a lot of customers were apprehensive. So we basically got to a point and said, okay, we have to attack this problem head on. And then we came up with that 30-day replacement guarantee. Launched that TV campaign around it. And cash on delivery.
And choosing the kids was because even kids can do it, so can you.
Exactly.
Take us through some of your figures in terms of customers who come on to Flipkart. Your last year revenues reported were 80 crore and you're projecting $100 million this year. Give us a summary of numbers that constitute Flipkart.
We have about 1.5 million customers. We have very high repeat rates. About 70% of our whole customer base repeats every year. At least once every year, and the ones who repeat buy like 10 items in a year. So that's the kind of repeat rate that we see, which is one of the best in the market. In terms of category leadership, we are in books. We are by far the leader. We are actually not just online. We are, as compared to offline players as well, we are the largest seller of books in India today.
Books will constitute for 70% of Flipkart's revenues right now?
Books will contribute to about half of 50% of Flipkart's revenue.
The remaining is from electronics and so forth. How focused are you on electronics?
We are very focused on electronics. We think it's a pretty big opportunity. It's a very, very big medium for us. And going forward, I think it will be much bigger than most other things that we do.
There are also rumors and speculation that Flipkart is looking to acquire Flipkart, right, which is a Bollywood digital content platform, right? Is that fair to say that in Flipkart's next journey of success, are you looking at some level to try and become a Netflix, try and also sell digital content online, or also do you think that's another form of expansion you can go to?
We are very bullish about digital in general. We see digital medium as a much more efficient medium of distribution of content. And I think it's only about time when this medium will actually catch up and become a very large market opportunity.
And YouTube's already shown it.
YouTube has shown it. Then there are multiple players in the US and Europe who have shown that, right? And in China also that's happening in a big way. It will take a couple of years, but in a couple of years we see this as becoming a multi-billion-dollar opportunity just in digital itself.
Digital content.
The digital content of streaming music, books, whether it's e-books or MP3 downloads or game downloads.
When is the digital music store of Flipkart launching?
Pretty soon, in the next couple of months, we should see a launch of that.
Okay, that's going to be streaming music, or you can also download music?
It should allow both.
Don't pay for streaming, only pay for
download.
You also see that going to video at some level?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
So that's the acquisition that we did is a platform which allows us to not just sell music but sell other things.
And what about the Shakpat? Is that attaching as well?
So that deal actually it's not an acquisition completely. We acquired content from them. So they had movies content, which we have acquired.
Right. There are also rumors and also confirmed rumors that now Flipkart is going for its next round, right? And there's this big private equity round, and a lot like some of your contemporaries, you've been raising 200 million from Carlyle and General Atlantic, right? Where is that money going to be used, and what stage are you in that fundraising?
We don't talk about our fundraising. So we are in talks with investors all the time.
Right.
It's not fair to us for us to actually do
right. But once, let's assume you raise a lot of that money will go towards the digital content platform. Is that safe to say?
Whenever we raise the next round, we and start investing, we'll want to strengthen our current offerings much more than what we are right now.
Right.
We will be getting into new categories of products.
Sure.
And of course, digital requires investment and early spaces which we are going to put in that.
Right. So what are your thoughts on valuation, Sachin? So because of these rumors of next round of fundraising, everyone's talking about $1 billion valuation for Flipkart or somewhere in that region, and similar to the valuation many believe in movies, right? Do you think there's this bubble in the e-commerce space, or you think that only the leader in the pack gets this disproportionate value?
In the internet space, leaders are leaders by far.
Sure.
That has been seen everywhere in the world.
Why do you think that happens?
Because internet as a medium is very easy to switch.
Okay.
In the physical world, it's more difficult to switch loyalty.
Right.
In a digital world, switching is very much more easier. So if you show a leadership position in the market, you actually get much more attention than the other.
So you think that's why it becomes a winner takes it all?
Exactly.
Sachin, you mentioned revenues of about 80 to 100 crore last year. Where do you see Flipkart revenues going for 2011?
2012 March, we had set ourselves a target of about 500 crores.
Almost 7 times more than what was last year.
Yeah, so and we are going to achieve that. We are going to beat that target now.
Sachin, you also become a role model for many entrepreneurs who are starting up, and there's a thriving, developing product ecosystem in this country. One piece of advice from Sachin and the Bansal team about building and scaling product companies in India.
Be very focused on consumers. Do everything out there. Do everything that you can do to get more and more customers, to build amazing experiences for the customers. So I think you need to continuously innovate, continuously keep understanding your customers more and more, and keep striving towards better and better products.
Because that is to increase consumer trust.
Exactly.
Okay. Sachin, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, ambitious plans to become the next Netflix for Indian consumers from the Flipkart team. We wish them all the best. Let's take a break here on the show, but coming up, we need a startup named N Natural has found a way to manufacture eco-friendly ink.